one of the first ones I caught on the rooster tail down there, I was trying to catch small ones, like to call out, but the first one I caught was like 3 pounds.
Yeah.
I threw him back. But I mean, I caught a bunch of little, squeakers like that I just threw in the cooler. I've got a cooler.
Okay, good.
There's probably 10 bass in there or so, but I'll show you a deer in Atlanta that, while we're showing deer pictures, that was last year. And I think he was 4.
Yeah, I can tell.
And then that's this year. So he
blossomed up a little bit.
His body blew up, and then he put some mass and a little more.
Yeah.
Show the daylight picture. Is that last night?
Yeah. So
Lee was very excited about coming down here because we've been hunting the suburbs a bunch the last couple months, and he was all excited about coming down to the big woods. And then as soon as he gets here last night, he gets that picture, that deer daylights in front of his camera back in Atlanta. And he's like, he's getting torn. He's getting torn back.
No way.
We were sitting there in the stand yesterday evening. I get that picture.
Oh, that's a heartbreaker there.
But I've got...
That's like a jab.
Mm-hmm. I've got 3 years of history with him. So I had him at 3, and I'll show you a picture of him at 3. And then I had him at 4 last year, and I think Drew was calling me crazy for passing him. And then he's 5.5 this year, and he went from a boy to a man this year. And, part of me's, I can't help but even still thinking like, well, I wonder what he would look like at 6. But I just don't think there's any way that I couldn't hunt that deer.
Other people in the neighborhood know he's there, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's most deer in Atlanta. There's several people that are hunting them.
Yeah.
So it's very rare that there's only one person hunting a certain buck. But
y'all get much pushback from people knowing what y'all are doing. I mean, I'm a fan. I mean, but the neighbors may not be. But the neighbors kind of.
Are you saying from more fellow hunters or from more of like
more the
neighbors?
Local neighbors?
Not really. I mean, you have an incident sort of pop up every now and then of like, someone that went rogue. Like a couple of years ago, on a Ring doorbell, somebody, and I think they were, from an hour and a half outside of Atlanta, and they had it captured on a Ring doorbell. There's a deer just, at midnight, deer standing in someone's yard, and a truck pulls up and a rifle pops out the window and pow, shoots a deer in someone's front yard in Atlanta at night.
Yep.
Those are the stories that get posted on, the Next Door Neighbor app and unfortunately get kind of spread around. As opposed to when we're doing, deer management days in overpopulated areas and donating deer to local churches and shelters and things like that. It's people always like to talk about the poor image and stuff instead of the good image. So that's just media and news in general these days.
We had, I don't know if Tyler told you, we had that happen in our neighborhood where we live. Guy was bow hunting and shot a deer, went through a couple of people's yard. So he went up and did the right thing, but he had his bow and camo on, knocking on the door, and the woman came unglued. I mean, called the police on him, and then it went to our city council, and
oh gosh,
and our city councilman is a friend of mine for our district, and I know the mayor well too. So the city councilman called me and said, "Look, this is what we're going to do," and he's a hunter. He used to play baseball for the Baltimore Orioles and Houston Astros. And I think one year he finished second in the MVP voting when he was with Houston. But anyway, he said, look, it's in our neighborhood. And he said, we're just going to let it play out. We're going to address it and tell people we're looking into it. And we want to go bum. He said, if anybody gets in contacts you with trying to, ask questions, please just don't say anything. So for about 2 weeks, it was buzz, and people were saying, they had a picture of the guy too coming into the yard with a camo and a bow. And so
not good.
Not good.
Yeah.
And the guy was doing the right thing. He was asking permission if he could come through the yard, trail blood. The guy hit the deer. But our city just all the game wardens, we all got together. Yes, we're looking into it. Let it go at that.
Mm-hmm.
And it just went away.
They just kind of let it die off.
Yeah. I would say urban hunting 101 is if you shoot a deer and he runs off the property, don't go knocking on doors with bow in hand and camo on.
No,
I know.
You change into street clothes and just
we got
be as presentable as possible.
we got a deer at our house. we got, it's not big, it's 3 acres, but he's 160-inch deer. And my 14-year-old saying, I'll shoot him.
Yeah.
I said, buddy, we're going to go to all the neighbors around
Yeah.
us first before we do that, because
Yeah.
there is a very good chance he'll get off on the neighbors. But all my neighbors would, I know them all, so they probably say, yeah, we'll let you.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it's worth the risk.
Move this a little closer. Yeah, just a hair. Okay. Yeah.
So we have
Thank you.
pretty much every year one of the cities in Metro Atlanta tries to ban bow hunting.
Yeah.
It's usually a neighborhood that gets kind of up in arms about it, whether it's like a situation that happens or just people getting their door knocked on a bunch. And they'll take it to the city council and they'll try to, they try to get the state involved and try to ban hunting. But it always, thankfully, the DNR, the Georgia DNR usually shuts that down.
Right.
Because up in some of these northern states that we've been hunting, a lot of the townships in little cities have banned hunting, which technically shouldn't be legal because it's a state regulated animal. The city shouldn't be able to do that.
Right.
So hopefully that the little towns and cities in Georgia hold strong and don't let that happen.
I don't think they'll ever budge because I mean,
think so either.
you look at it from the just the conservation side, the management side. If you leave these deer populations unchecked in these areas, like especially when they're living around urban areas, a lot of vehicles, cars. I mean, people can't even plant flowers anymore in their yards.
No, that's true.
Yeah, and it's also like people understand that it's also not good for the deer to just leave populations out of control.
Yeah.
So, we much rather have the situation happen where someone can take an ethical hunter can take a deer with a bow and arrow, utilize that animal.
Absolutely.
As opposed to when they get hit by a car.
Well, I came by a golf course. It was 2 days ago now. There was 7 deer in the fairway, just right there. And there's houses everywhere around. And, but, our neighborhood has not openly said, hey, look, we need to take some does off or deer off. But
they could maybe use it.
Yes.
So, first off, thank you for having us down here. I did a podcast with Tyler yesterday, and we laughed about a lot of things, just telling stories, but we also got in a very, very, very deep discussion that Tyler and I have become real good friends. Like we've become close, and that's been that's just been a treat for Drew and I, is to have the relationships we do with that we have with y'all, and like we're super blessed to be a part of y'all's family here. And like Drew kind of alluded to earlier, like I was just kind of over the suburbs, just with all the drama and tight property lines and things like that. And I just was like, I need to get into some woods. I feel like I can stretch my legs a little bit. So even just to come down here and sit some stands and kind of be able to meander about, and it has been a breath of fresh air for us, and definitely something that was much needed. And
no, well, you guys are welcome. Just couldn't have come at a worse time with the temperature and acorns falling and everything in between. But it's just hot.
I think we'll come back when it gets a little better to really showcase what y'all been able to do out here. But Tyler and I were talking yesterday, and Tyler is an amazing person. Like you've raised a really good, I'm not going to act like I'm older and say young man, because I'm the same age, but you've raised an amazing son. And Tyler, he's a very kind-hearted and caring individual.
He is, and sometimes to a fault. I say that in a complimentary way, not a bad way. Tyler wants to believe in everybody, and that kind of deal. And sometimes, people are out for different things for different reasons. And, he's got to learn to, and he has, and still got more that you got to figure out who's working you and who's not. Everybody's working for something. I totally get that, but there's a good way you go about it. And some people ask, but I appreciate that. You hadn't had a chance to, meet my daughter. I got a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, and their mama must have done a good job with all three of them. I think she gets all the credit, but I've been blessed, and so has my wife, with 3 good kids. We just don't, they stay out of trouble. They do everything the best of their ability. So as a parent, it's good for us to, have those type kids and those type values. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. And so it's just been like a treat for us to be, part of y'all's family. It's funny. I think I owe 2 apologies. One was Thomas, not to call you out, but Thomas is a guy that's helped out on the filming and editing side for us for a while. He's like a brother to us. Rolls into the Lions Den yesterday into hunting camp wearing mossy oak, like cardinal sin number 1.
Well, he's got to get off the property still.
Yeah.
He's got to go through. There's checkpoints. Is he leaving?
Yeah.
So
and
that's the reason my guys are standing at the gate.
Yeah. Hey, there's a back door over here, bud.
But we love the guys at Mossy Oaks. I'm not
Oh, they're
shooting
good
any shots
people.
at them. They're great people. Love them.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, you're coming to Realtree Farms. And we got a good chuckle out of that. And then, yesterday was my first time meeting you. And I was like, obviously really excited to meet you. And I'm going to blame Johnny Carter on this one.
No, I'm going to get somebody. And I told Tyler last night, for my little half hour, we got, I don't know if Tyler told you or not, we got a couple new camo patterns coming and so we were right in the middle of that. And I got people out of the country right now, and they were trying to call in to tell me what they're doing on the printing. So I was right in the middle of that. And then my wife called me, and our city hosts we play in softball, we play in the fall, here in Georgia. So my daughter's tournament was last weekend, and they made the Final Four for their classification. And so all the other schools are in. Well, she's got some travel ball girls that were in town playing. So my wife said, can you go pick up Colton from school, my 14-year-old? So he did not have football yesterday afternoon. They had it yesterday morning before. So right when y'all called, I ran out of gas. he tell you that?
Oh, yeah, he told me. It was bad timing.
Let me tell you something. Here's all these moms and dads picking up kids in the parking lot, and I'm just stuck there. And then
answering a prank call.
And I knew it was. And so I'm trying. I really and truly, I'm trying to get off a call. And we got some new side by side units we put up here at the farm. So I was on the phone with those people. I run out of gas. I had to call Wes, who was here. Wes, can you bring me some gas? I'm on the side of the road and in the parking lot, and parking lot's just zooming. It's got kids coming and going, and parents picking up kids. And so when I got the call, I was okay with you shooting at whatever you wanted to shoot. I said, whatever. And so we're trying to get gas in the truck. And then the worst thing is everybody that came by me that knows me stopped. Can I help you? Something wrong. And so I'm trying to roll, I'm good, keep them going. Then 2 cars later, another one come by. And so when those calls came in, then I'm getting off with our woman who controls all of our fabrics. I said, look, I got this call coming in from Northeast Atlanta. I said, I don't know if it's an emergency or, and my 14-year-old's at the school, the drop where we pick him up. Dad, where are you? So all this is going on within about 10-minute span.
It was bad timing for sure, but I'm putting full blame on Johnny Carter if he's listening, because we had lunch that day and we met you after lunch, and I guess you got a telemarketer call when we were standing there or something.
It's unbelievable. And that was another thing. I was getting telemarketer calls, which I've already had about 7 or 8 today. So I'm trying to do business, pick up a kid, get gas, all at the same time. And so when your number came through, I'm going, there may be something wrong somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, I need to take this.
Yeah.
It's a telemarketer, one and done until the next one calls. I said, oh my God. And I was on the phone. I said, let me call you back, because I don't know if my family's not good or kidnapped or at the ball field. And then all of a sudden, here comes a call about Bruno. I'm good. Just if you see him, shoot him.
Which Bruno is a deer you've been hunting for 3 years now on the farm?
About 3 years. But if, like all my kids, they get first priority. So I'm going to try to bow hunt him, obviously. And then if one of the kids, either my daughter or my youngest son, if they get a chance, I'm going to let them hunt him. So he would match up with any of these deer in here.
Well, I formally apologize for the prank call. Again, Johnny Carter, it was his idea, his fault. But
Johnny Carter could be in trouble if Johnny led you down that path.
He did, 100%.
Yeah. Just hold on 1 second. May not be good for Johnny. I do get people back. I don't know if they told you that. Not you. I'm not getting you.
We can formulate a plan on Johnny.
Yes, we will. We will. Johnny will start.
What would be funny is if you called him right now on speakerphone. I was like, hey, Johnny.
I'm about to do it.
You're fired.
You really caught me at a bad time yesterday.
let's just see if he's nervous now. If he sees my number pop up. No, Johnny's a good one too.
Johnny's amazing.
Yeah, they he and Tyler, played travel ball together. And he came over to our high school and played. Johnny's maybe having a baby today. Not him, but wife.
Really?
She's due any day.
They're due like any day.
Yeah.
That'd be good to prank call him now while he's having a child. That'd be the appropriate level of payback. We can try him later, but so kind of jumping into, why I wanted to sit down with you. I was talking with Tyler yesterday, and I was just talking about all kind of stuff, and I was like, take me back to almost day one of Realtree. Like I've never even really heard like the origin story, and so he kind of touched on it on a real high level, but then was like, you really need to sit down with my dad and really get the story, because he's like, every time I hear it from my dad, I feel like I pick up on new details of kind of how it all came to be, and it sounded like it came down to like a leap of faith, or even just a choice of leaving a current business you were in. And I was laughing, or just kind of talking with him like, it's funny how you can be sent down these amazing journeys and roads, or just these things can happen, and it can boil down to one little bitty decision of like, do I do this? Do I don't? But that was kind of the point, is I would love to, if you're willing and have time, to tell us like how kind of all of like the just how Realtree even began, like from day one.
Well, the thing about it, I bow hunted and fished all my life. I've been a hunter and fisherman, and like everybody, and like with you guys, my dad was a big avid hunter and fisherman. And of course, at an early age, I caught the bug and loved it. And then went off to college, University of Mississippi, went to Ole Miss, played football there. That's not a big deal, but played football there. And when I got through playing ball in school, I came back home and got into our family business. My dad owned 2 boat marine dealerships. And so, and I had an older brother in the business as well that was 8 years older than I was. So I was undecided when I got through school about what to do, but I came back there, and my dad owned a boat manufacturing facility plant in Florida as well, where he made boats. Then we had 2 retail outlets as well. And like a lot of people, I tournament bass fished back in the day and hunted. And I fell in love with bow hunting at an early age, and that's really probably my true passion, is bow hunting. And so several years into that business, I went to my dad and I said, I would like to try to do something in the hunting and fishing industry. I said, I love the business here. You giving me a great opportunity, and my brother and our family, but I just felt like I just need to do something on my own. And as much as I do love my family and my older brother, I knew I was going to be the younger brother in a business when my dad retired. Mm-hmm. And not that we wouldn't have gotten along, but I just was still going to be the younger brother.
Right.
And he'd been in the business longer and certainly had earned his stripes. So I told my dad I wanted to kind of look at something.
That's Johnny Carter.
Yeah, hold on one second.
Put him on speakerphone.
JC, what's up?
Hey, me and Jim are about to sit down for lunch.
Oh, good. Are you sitting down now? Because I got some news to tell you. Yeah. Is Jim beside you?
He's walking up in front of me.
Okay. Where are y'all eating?
We're eating. Me, Jim, and Jackson are eating at Moe's.
Okay. You might want to get a go plate. It's that bad.
It's that bad.
There's a rumor around. It's simply a rumor at this point. You tried to get me pranked yesterday.
That's not how I do things.
No.
I would never do
that. Yeah. You've been around a long time. I do get people back.
Well, and I told Lee, I said, the thing is, though, he don't play fair, and he don't have to play fair.
Hey, today is Thursday. Did y'all get paychecks today?
Today's Friday.
Oh, Friday. Did you get it yesterday, I mean? Did you get it yesterday?
Yep. So I am good for the next 2 weeks.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, but I thought the whole time it was Tyler, but it sounds like you may have something to do with it.
Well, so when you picked up the call outside of where we 219. I was like, he picks up all those calls. I said, you know what, y'all should call him on the podcast.
That's an admission of guilt right there, if I've ever heard one.
Yes. In other words, you're saying you're guilty. I'm trying to get true confession. Yeah, I'm trying to get crime scene and true confession in the same story. Yeah. So you did. No, I do get a lot of spam calls, which you know.
Oh, I know.
I told Tyler, and I was telling these guys, it couldn't have been worse. I had just run out of gas at Brookstone you know how busy the parking lot is.
Oh, yeah.
And then everybody's trying to stop by and see what's wrong with my truck. And I'm having to answer all those questions. Then I'm on the phone with Carol on camo patterns. And and Brian's trying to buzz in from his trip to tell me how the trip went. And then somebody's hunting Bruno. And so I said, go. I knew. I said, just go ahead. And what about the turkeys? Get them too. I said, don't forget the rabbit and the squirrels. But let me get gas in my truck so I can leave this parking lot.
Yeah, and I think there's an eagle up there too.
Yeah. So just whatever makes you feel good. He drained the lake he caught all the fish out.
Yeah.
Just take it all.
Yeah. So a few more things. Well, I just want to get the story straight. I just want to make sure that you taking 100% responsibility.
Yeah, I'll definitely say I led the witness.
Okay. All right.
That's all we needed.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, you're being recorded, so I just want to make sure when we go to court that over your paycheck that you admitted guilt.
Yep. I will say I led the witness.
All right. I'll talk at you later. Y'all have a good lunch.
Okay.
All right, buddy. See you. Bye.
Okay, I'm glad that we clarified that it indeed was Johnny's fault 100%.
Yes.
So jumping back into your story, so you're the younger brother. You've kind of stepped into this. You said 2 boat dealerships, right?
I had 2 marine boat dealership retail outlets.
Okay.
And my dad had a boat manufacturing facility in Florida, and so I went to my dad and just said, I want to try to do something different, and he thought I was crazy, and then probably was at the time, and I just had I don't know. I just wanted to do something, whether it be in the hunting or fishing industry, because I was passionate about both, and obviously passionate about bow hunting. And I took about 5 or 6 months to just kind of take off and look at both industries. And I was fortunate. You're talking about lucky and finding a lucky horseshoe, but there was, when I was growing up, only thing we had to hunt with was military camo patterns. And so, whether it be woodland or World War II or tiger stripe back in the day. And I just always envisioned being a bow hunter, especially in the Southeast. And I just kind of want to look like where I was hunting. And not that those patterns wouldn't have worked, but I think I can do something maybe a little bit closer to that environment. So, my dad had passed away, unfortunately, with a heart attack. And when I was in the beginning stages of just the artwork, he never heard the word Realtree, unfortunately, when we came with it. But drew the pattern out, and just you got the pants on right there, and that's the first original pattern. And I've always been able to halfway draw, and so I just started putting realism in it. And then that particular pattern, when we introduced it in 1986 at the SHOT Show, I wanted some horizontal stuff in it where that's vertical. Mm-hmm. And so this is true. I was in my mom's yard and broke off a little limb and traced it on tracing paper. That's how things were done back in the day, and not, computer driven.
Now, did Tyler tell me that when you came up with the original that you like actually walked outside with pen and paper and like looked at a tree and started drawing?
I took a picture of a tree and just kind of came back in black and white, mm-hmm. put it on tracing paper, and just traced it on. Today's technology is obviously altogether different. What you can do with computer screens and so forth. But I took that photo, put it on trace paper, and just traced the lines in it. Mm-hmm. And then I took a pencil and just, have you ever taken a pencil and turned it sideways and just mm-hmm. off to the side to shade things mm-hmm. in? So I did that, and then I went to colored markers and everything else. So that's the reason all those other colors are in there. I just shaded them in, and so I got colored markers in there and just started. You start from that, and then you don't ever know what life's journey is going to take you. And I thought I had something, and when I would show it to people, and I had to take it to fabric, just wherever I introduced it. And you just don't know. It's just it's a roll of the dice. And I used to take photography of it, and I think the number one thing that really helped me back in the day, I would take that, put it up in a hunting situation for as a bow hunter, especially, and I'd take photography of it, and then I'd use that same tree stand in the same setting. I put the woodland camo patterns in it, the military patterns in it, and that always won out, in that particular setting. So
Right.
I had that was my formal research back in the day, was just comparing other patterns that were in the marketplace. So I had all the photography support, and of course, obviously you can do so much more today, but that was kind of my library that I showed people. And I said, I think this pattern would work. So, sure enough, I had 3 major retailers take it the very first year that I showed it to them. And then from there, 7 years later, here we sit. But
so your first kind of, I guess maybe breakthrough was you took the pattern to SHOT Show and was.
And prior to the SHOT Show, which is obviously an introduction show for our industry, months earlier, I sent it to 3 major retailers, and I actually sent them same photography that I took, and I would show the military patterns. So about 4 or 5 months ahead of the SHOT Show, during that fall, I sent all this photography off to 3 major retailers. And so, interesting enough, you just don't know what's going to become of it. And they showed a lot of interest, through telephone calls. And I got the top buyers in the categories of the retailers in which they worked. And they said, listen, we'll see you at SHOT Show. We're going to come see you. So you just hope they come see you. So when we got to SHOT Show.
Did any of them come actually see you? Or did you have to go find them?
No. I must have done a pretty good job. I was sitting in the booth the first 2 hours of the show, and if you've been to the SHOT Show, which I'm sure y'all have, we were on the lower level. All the big companies are up there on the top floor, and I'm stuck. I'm not stuck. That's all I could afford with a 20 by 20 booth, and I'm down there. So about a show, I think opened up like 8:30, and around 10:30 that morning, here comes this buyer from this major retailer. So he comes in. So I go through my photo books and show him all this photography about how it works in different situations, show the competition at the time that was in the marketplace. And I was, won out, for its photography contest kind of deal. And so he said, well, we want to try it. And I'm going like this, and it happens to be the world's largest retailer. And so I sit there and I said, okay.
Which retailer was it, if you don't mind me asking?
They're in Bentonville, Arkansas.
Okay.
And it's there's little stores now they're called Walmart. But, yeah. But
yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah. But anyway, they came in and again, didn't know if they would ever take it or not. And then he said, can you make all these pants? I said, no, I'm underfunded. I can't do all these great and wonderful things. And then within the same hour, Bass Pro Shops came in, same story, hey, can you make this mount? No, I can't. I don't have the resources I can do sample stuff, but I can't make. And then back in the day too, a lot of older people may remember a sporting goods store out of Texas called Oshman Sporting Goods. They came in as well. And so the first 3 hours I was at the show, I got 3 major retailers saying we want to take it. And so I couldn't manufacture it. I didn't have financial whereabouts to do it. And so that's really how the licensing model for us got born. I had to go out and with those retailers, they said, well, this company makes this company makes this for us. We're going to send these people over here to meet you, which they did. And so that's how the licensing thing got born. And then from that show, nobody knew who I was, and nor should they. And so I started just cold calling. I'd take my book, photos, and everything else, and I'd say, hey, this retailer and that retailer, I think they're going to take it. Are you interested? So from there, footwear came, gloves companies came, and that was just making cold calls up and down the aisles.
You must have been a heck of a salesman to actually have those people come find you, because 99% of our phone calls, especially with like the permission stuff, is like, oh yeah, we'll get back with you, and you never hear from them ever again. But with that SHOT Show opening and them coming and finding you, I mean, they must have really realized that you were onto something.
Well, and the timing of anything, if you guys remember the hula hoop, the timing of a hula hoop, man, that was a phase and a hot thing going on at the time. So what was really kind of neat for me, there was none of these type patterns out there. And other than there was, which is a friend of mine to this day, was Jim Crumley with Tree Bark. And so Jim did his pattern in 1980 or 81, if I'm not mistaken. And then I came 4 or 5 years later. And a little bit of my inspiration came from Tree Bark. You know, I felt like I could make my own version, which I did. But the industry was just ready for something different out of the military patterns. You know, timing is a thing. Now, you do the same thing today, would you have the same results? Probably not. But the timing was just impeccable, that the industry was starving and hurting for something and wanted something different. And so I was really blessed in that regard, that I was kind of like the first at the table a little bit with these retailers.
Was Tree Bark using the same licensing model that you were, or was that something that y'all essentially started with Realtree?
It basically, in a way, started with us and got really kick-started with us. You know, it just with Realtree. And Jim is a great, great guy. He and his wife Sherry, and we got to know each other back in the early days. And so I had probably maybe a little bit more resources to knock on more doors than Jim. And you know, not this makes a hill of beans, but I was a business major in college. And so I was trying to think, okay, how can I build this brand? You know, what can I do? You know, whose door can I knock on? But a lot of it, you don't have to have a college degree. It's just if you got the drive and the wants, and it was more of that than anything else.
Sure. So when you first sat down to draw that pattern, was that an idea that came up after you left your family's business and you were looking for some sort of outdoor product, or was it just like an idea of, hey, I'm tired of wearing multicam in the tree, I want to see if I can make something for myself, and then you realized I might actually be able to turn this into a brand?
Well, the timing was I was still in the boat business when I was working on Realtree, and I had to have a safety net and a paycheck still coming in, and just unfortunately my dad passed away at the same, in around the same time, and unexpectedly, and so I was already committed to do the pattern. And so 83, 84, 85, my dad passed away in 83. And so I was going down a path, and I just need to see where my dream's going to take me, if at all. Could have been end up being a nightmare. You just don't know that.
Yeah.
And so I wish I could have said, hey, I knew it was going to be a success. You know, in my heart of hearts, I said, I think this concept will work. But it literally took 4 or 5 years up till 89, 1990, 4 years after I introduced Realtree, that I realized I think I can make a living in this thing. I couldn't pay my bills. I don't know if Tyler ever told you that, but I couldn't pay my bills. I was scrounging, and my dad, I couldn't go to my mom. My dad had passed away. And so I very humble beginnings. A lot of people just don't realize that. They think, oh, you did this, you did that.
Yeah, they think overnight success, but they don't realize that there's a decade or more.
Yeah, it literally took it probably took 5 years before I ever started making any money, the company. And, where I really got blessed early on, I only had one employee when I started. And, 4 years into the pattern, we probably had 12 to 15. There wasn't a whole lot of money stopping in the business, making money. But those employees stayed with me the whole time. They believed in the mission and what we were doing. And so I'm forever grateful to our employees that stuck with us. And every one of my, what I call the original group, was like 6 of us that got started. They all retired with me or still with me now. So 30-something years later, to have longevity, people not coming and going, they believed in me, which I believe in them, and but they stayed and stuck with us till they retired, or some of them are still with me today.
Yeah, I'd say that's a testament to what you created and how you treated them, and probably the sense of family they felt, being here. Otherwise, they would have been looking elsewhere, but. That's cool to me to hear, like just kind of like you saying, like the humble beginnings of it all. That it kind of is similar to our story a little bit, where like there was maybe a 3 or 4 year period there where it was like, every single year at the end of the year, we're like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
And it was just timing. That was what needed to happen for things to sort of fall in place for us. So you go to SHOT Show, you're getting these, or you kind of work these licensing deals. Like, so how quickly after that was it like, okay, I need to, because I'm assuming, was it just you at this point? You didn't have any employees at that point?
Well, the SHOT Show in 1986, I went to, I had one employee.
So how quickly after that SHOT Show did, Realtree begin to kind of, I guess, get momentum behind it?
Yeah, in the first 2 years, I couldn't do everything by myself, from the standpoint of just the licensing model itself. I made calls on people in our industry that, footwear companies to everything in between. And once I started building the model out about, you take a coat and a pant, but there's so many accessories that go with it, from backpacks to boots to gloves to headwear, neck gaiters, cushions, everything in between, bow cases. So once I started, I would go through a checklist. I went through the SHOT Show booth or book and got all these manufacturers. And so I make myself a list, bow cases, gun cases. And so I just started cold calling every one of them and saying, hey, I got some retailers that are going to take this thing, and would you be interested? And of course, the retailers too were helping me too. They were going back to a lot of the licensees we got today and saying, hey, I need for you to look at this Realtree pattern. I think we're going to take it in.
Mm-hmm.
So when you had that kind of momentum going, all the manufacturers would say, show me what you got, because so-and-so's called me, this manufacturer,
Right.
this retailer's called me. So it just started mushrooming and building.
There was a buzz around it.
There was a buzz around, a big buzz, yeah.
And so right off the bat, you were pushing it and selling it as like a lifestyle pattern. You didn't just go focus on the clothing. You were, like you just said, you talked to bow cases and
Right.
all of that, and it was just becoming almost like a staple in the hunting industry. Versus people saw it more than just a pattern that was going to benefit them in the woods.
Right. Well, the thing that it realized too, I didn't have the financial whereabouts to build an apparel line or footwear line. It took everybody together. So the licensing model for me back in the day, the industry's changed. You guys know this, just the different people come in with apparel lines, tremendous amount of backing, and, the investment groups, behind a lot of the companies in our industry. Back in the day, that wasn't the case. You just had to make it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody giving you a pile of money and saying, hey, let's go build this model together.
Right.
You just had to do it yourself. And I think that one of the things that I appreciate the most about the timing that I came through, and today's world is totally different. But there were other companies, game call companies, if you guys are familiar with Night and Hail game calls, Hunter Specialties, Quaker Boy calls. All these guys were just like me. They were outdoorsmen and trying to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came through with a group of hungry people that weren't just trying to pay their bills, where today is more corporate. You got way more corporate stuff going on right now today than you had 35 years ago. So the camaraderie that we all built just trying to make a living. That's, these Harold Knight, one of my dear friends with Night and Hail game calls, with a barber. So was Dick Kirby with Quaker Boy. People just don't realize that. These people had a passion for the outdoors. And so Hunter Specialties came in, Carmen and David Forbes, who own that business. We would all just sit down, collectively, how can we work together? So today's world is just different. Everybody owns somebody, and
it's kind of funny because it has changed so much to today. Even the patterns have become more realistic and more advanced, and then now there's a shift where it's like people are like, let's take it back to day one, and that's
Right.
why the original and these old school patterns are now very, very popular and buzzing again. That people are like trying to simplify things
They are.
almost and go back to what it used to be.
Yeah. Well, the technology of improving patterns, it needs to always be there, and going forward. But the simplicity part, going back to the World War II, duck patterns, just throwback type stuff. How long that's going to last, who knows? It's in here right now.
Right.
But 2 years down the road or 4 years down the road, something new or trendy will come in.
Yeah.
And so just being on top of it and just following it, the industry is good. But again, let me just go back from the day's time where you guys are, where Tyler is. Today's world's different. I'm not saying people don't care about you, but back in the day, you cared about each other. I wanted Night and Hail to succeed. I wanted Hunter Specialties to succeed, Quaker Boy calls, because you relied on each other. Today's world is it's a little bit different. And there's nothing wrong with today's world. We all got to live in it. And we obviously adjusted. And, of course, Tyler, is adjusting along with it, as our company has over the last several years. But it's just a little bit different right now.
So at what point, you're kind of getting momentum behind Realtree? When was y'all's first TV show that y'all did?
Well, the TV side of it is I knew that television was a ways to promote our pattern. And it was never about trying to be on TV or trying to be somebody. When it originally came out, a good friend of mine, the organization Buckmasters, was on TNN back in the day, the National Network. And so was Jimmy Houston and Bill Dance, Fisherman and Roland Martin. So when they were on TNN, I kind of looked at it as a way to expose Realtree. I did not try to be on TV. I didn't say, man, I want to be somebody. My deal was I want to expose Realtree. How can I tell the masses out there that this pattern's out there? So when we got in the television side of it, I started working with TNN probably in 1986, 87, the first couple of years we had Realtree. I said, listen, I'd like to do a TV show. They said, come on. And we were as raw could be. We were like, okay, let's try this thing. They give us an opportunity. And so with Buckmasters been there and partnered with Buckmasters early on, as we still are today, the audience was just huge because you didn't have all the competition you got today. It was if you want to watch outdoor programming, you either watched it on ESPN or TNN. And TNN back in the day had NASCAR and they had rodeo. They had an outdoor theme. And so when the Realtree Outdoors went on TNN, the audience reach was just incredible. And so if you, even as young as you guys are, people say, man, on Sunday nights, that's all I did. I'd get in front of the TV and I'd watch Buckmasters, and then it was Roland Martin or Bill Dance, NASCAR or whatever. So the timing, again, was important. Now you got to fight to be seen. You got to have a little bit of a niche, and there's so many ways you get your entertainment today. But back then, it was just kind of squeezed down to, if you want to see outdoors, it's TNN. And so the ratings were off the charts. And it helped build Realtree. It helped build Realtree Outdoors. It helped build our relationships within the industry. So
I think I remember being told numbers at one point of like how many households that the viewership was, and it was like unbelievable. Do you remember any of the numbers?
Oh yeah. I looked at numbers every week. When they would come out for the rating systems, and a lot of your bigger networks are Nielsen rated shows, and so this kind of a true barometer, per 1,000 households. And we would draw, and again, a lot of times we would follow a NASCAR race. And NASCAR back in the day was single serve on TNN, and so when you followed outdoor program and followed NASCAR, and that audience reach went with you for your outdoor shows, but we would have on any given Sunday night, we'd have a low of 900,000 households to 2 million. Gosh. And so every Sunday night,
tuning in live watching.
And so you had, if you had 1.4 million household, million and a half households looking at you, and we would, when we'd run our hunting show from somewhere, all the outfitters or places that wanted to hunt, they would get calls and ask us not to show it again. They would get like hundreds to thousands of calls about hunting. So, but that was just that audience reach.
That's crazy because, like, for example, in today's world, like with YouTube, if you reach 1 million views in the lifetime of a video, that is astronomical.
Yeah.
But to have sometimes 2 million
every week,
that in watching live, like all at once, is really kind of hard to grasp.
Well, especially compared to what outdoor TV turned into the last 5 years. Some of the numbers that we've heard is a fraction of what YouTube channels get.
Oh yeah.
No, it is. Well, again, with you guys being younger, of course, I live it every day with a 14-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 31-year-old. So I'm not out to lunch. I mean, I totally get it. And it's very interesting how my 14 and my 17-year-old, both being teenagers, what they watch and how they watch it. And, this thing right here called telephone, cell phone, just watch it. Okay, let me go to the next thing. They watch 20 things in a matter of 30 seconds. So it's just the whole, and it's not a bad thing. It's just the way people get entertainment.
Right. So you've got the Realtree Outdoors, and that obviously was a big hit. and this is kind of where I don't know the full story. I think I've heard sort of just some tidbits, but so was Michael, was he filming that show at that time, or how did y'all even meet Michael?
Well, Michael and I met when he was 17 years old. Michael was at National Wild Turkey Federation convention. We were obviously there being Realtree, and Michael does not live too far from where we are right now, here in Columbus, Georgia, but actually Fortson, Georgia. But Michael was a turkey caller, and he was in the junior division. And so he wanted to meet Realtree, and of course, and when I found out more about him, being a little bit not close, I mean, being close to us here, I had breakfast one morning with he and his dad. His mom had passed away, Michael's mom, and so the three of us went to breakfast and we talked shop. And Michael at 17 as he is now at 50, you know. So so that hadn't changed. But we had a very good breakfast, and Michael said, "I'd really like to do something in the hunting industry and turkey caller." And we immediately picked him up, for us as one of our turkey call kind of, if you want to call it, pro staff. And so we started that relationship. And when Michael was getting out of high school, his dad and I really tried to encourage him to go to college. And I had numerous talks with Michael, and I said, Michael, I said, look, you can come to Realtree anytime if you want to come. We're going to hunt with you. We're going to do whatever, but you just don't ever know, try to get a college degree and just don't know where that might take you, and especially down the road. He didn't want to go to college. and so his dad and I both tried. And so at 18 years old, basically, he came to work for us running camera. And so Michael being a turkey hunter, we were doing a lot of entertaining back in the days too, for his outdoor riders coming in and retailers coming through our farms, here in Georgia and elsewhere. And so here you got Michael, the turkey caller, and he started running camera, can, help us out that way. So that happened for numerous years. And you started to see Michael's personality kind of blooming, you could kind of see it. And I was kind of the lone person on Realtree Outdoors for so many years. And when I come off hunting trips, which, you'd be gone a week, 10 days, 2 or 3 weeks sometimes, and I'd come back in and have to go right back into the office. And I was our main guy at the office too. So it was just a lot on me. And I was traveling and way too much. And so David Blanton and he and I were coming back off a turkey hunt in the spring for a TNN TV show, and David was running camera. And I came back, and I'll never forget, on the airplane, I told David, I said, David, I'm killing myself. I can't keep this pace up. I was gone over 200 days a year away from home.
Jeez.
And, filming and business travel. And I said, I'm not here for my family. I need to stay in the office more. I said, I need to put you and Michael on TV. And I said, yeah, I need help. I just can't do it by myself. So David and Michael started with me on Realtree Outdoors and became, threesome kind of deal, and so it took a lot of pressure off me being gone so much. So a couple of years into Realtree Outdoors, real quick, kind of throw the story forward, I told Michael, I said, we got all these sponsorships coming, and we need to create another TV show. And so that became, Realtree Road Trips.
Okay.
And so David kind of stayed over here with me, and here we are with Michael on Road Trips. And so we spun off basically and that is probably the right word, off Realtree Outdoors. And so Michael went to Road Trips, huge success for everybody. Sponsors loved him, and, rest is history. And then,
and so how did y'all know T-Bone, or was that through Michael, or?
That was all here. Everybody's, give you, as far as the bone collector group, Travis is from here. He was from up the road, probably 50 minutes away, and he's always had an archery shop, bow shop. So that's how we got with Travis. Back in the day, Travis did a lot of our bow work. So here you got Travis, and here you got Michael right here. So all those connections got made. And Nick Munt, being the third part of the bone collector, was actually a guide in Wyoming, where we hunted 7J Outfitters.
So he's not from Georgia.
He's not from Georgia. Okay. He's from Wyoming. And so we met Nick, and is out at 7J Outfitters. And so Nick was working out there as a guide, and Nick has that kind of personality and stuff. And so he needed a job, outside just the guiding thing, and we offered him a job at Realtree doing the same thing. Come down, get started, learn to run a camera, edit, and then of course hopefully that may lead into something else. And we didn't have room at the time for having a TV show. And so with Nick being there, and he got on road trip some, and with us on Realtree Outdoors, then all of a sudden the thing went off with Michael and all of us. Let's with T-Bone and Nick, pair y'all three up together. David's over here with me.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler's coming on. He's younger, but we'll just do it that way. Take the pressure off each other. So they got over there, and then the Bone Collector thing, was born. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool because, I mean, I guess, the timing for us, I guess I remember being, 13, 14, 15, kind of that age when I'm getting interested in hunting and watching all the TV shows. I think I mostly watched on Outdoor Channel at the time. And if I remember, I think it was like Saturday in the morning and maybe Sunday in the morning. One was dedicated to fishing, one was dedicated to hunting or something like that?
They normally just broke it down, fishing within the first and second quarter, during the spring.
Right.
And we had reruns or a lot of shows where we were on 52 weeks out of the year on TNN.
Mm-hmm.
And, but the fishing took top billing, during the first and second quarter, where hunting took the top billing, third and fourth,
right.
towards the better times. But we still did, with TNN, we were on 52 weeks out of the year with some of them being reruns first and second quarter.
I cannot imagine the travel and the amount of being gone because, Tyler and I talked about that a lot yesterday of just like the sacrifice that comes to just your family. Yeah. I mean, Drew's a new dad at home and still traveling like crazy. And it's like, there seems to be like, you got to sort of find a balance.
Correct.
Because when you enter a space and you're going 100 miles an hour and you're going like crazy, it's not. I guess you come to a realization like this isn't sustainable. Like you can't do this forever. It's going to break you. And so like I think that that's what I talked with Tyler a lot about yesterday. Is like I know he's enjoying spending more time at home, hunting the farm, and not being as gone as much. And I'm kind of at a similar place where I'm like, I've been traveling so much, hunting other places. Like I want to hunt Atlanta. I just want to hunt. Right. Some of these places I've had forever, and
right.
Coming down here to hunt a little bit. We're going to a buddy of mine's farm that, some of my first hunting memories I ever had were there when I was 15 years old. Going to just, spend the weekend with some old buddies and
right.
do that. And so, you kind of, I guess maybe hit a wall at some point where you're like, hey, we got to figure this out.
I still, and with you guys being here, especially with you being here, the last 2 days, I go in the office and then I've been getting tree stands ready for this cold front.
Mm-hmm.
I still have that passion.
Yeah.
It's not, that will never, I don't think ever leave me, even with the age that I am currently, but, and I like the challenge of it. And I was telling you earlier, both of you that, Bruno, I'm good with my kids hunting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, I've done my thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's, and I thoroughly enjoy seeing the passion in my kids and everything. And off this farm, 500 yards out the back, my 14-year-old, 13 at the time, got a 173 buck, and I could have hunted that deer all day long, but I've done my part.
Yeah. I sort of, am there as well, because even I think this was a couple years ago with the door knocking in Atlanta. It happens where we'll knock on a door and someone already hunts there. Well, this was a couple years ago. Knocked on this door and they're like, "Oh, someone already hunts here. Here's his contact." I reached out to him just to kind of,
right.
Out of respect for him being there. Like, "Hey, I hunt, just down the road from you. I'm sure we're on the same deer." Like, I shared some pictures with him and whatnot, yep. And he his name is Zach Fernandez. And at the time, I think he had not killed a deer with his bow. We were both hunting the same deer. It's probably 160-inch deer, like really big framey mm-hmm. deer. And I genuinely in my heart was like, to me, this is just another deer. Like I would love to see him get his first bow buck. And so I gave him my spot and actually filmed him hunting. Right. And he and I have become very, very good friends from just hitting it off in that way. And it's so easy to kind of get too competitive with things like that, where right. It's like you want to take that deer, but I'm kind of with you that I've had enough experiences where I'm like, I genuinely would have enjoyed him getting his first bow buck, even though it's a deer like I've put a bunch of effort into. And it formulated this great friendship, and we have great memories from that.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you, for me, it's just I've been so lucky and blessed to see a lot of this country. You know, I mean, from elk hunting to just about hunting every whitetail state that you can hunt, and I've had a lot of great times, great memories. But there's you guys are still young, but there's a time that I have more satisfaction, like my kids getting something than me. It's just I want them to have that same experience and that same thrill, that same joy, and for me, it's just passing it on to those kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know I'm not going to be here forever, and none of us are, but just to have spark that interest in my own kids is special, and other kids. You know, we've had a lot of kids on our farms over the years, and enjoy them coming. And it may be a doe, it may be a cull buck, it may be a management buck, but just to hopefully those kids will carry the next generation on. So it's a feel good moment.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to share some of the behind the scenes sort of, look at how Realtree even came to be. And I'm sure there's a lot more details to it too that, we can only touch on so much just in the time we got. But I do want to ask you, maybe a closing question was, you've been able to travel and see a lot of places and hunt a bunch of different places. What is maybe a hunt that stands out to you the most? Is there one in particular, or like, do you have a favorite place that you've hunted, or maybe just a hunt that stands out to you the most?
I will tell you, as a parent, is when you get there and they get older, I have 3 memorable hunts, and they're all 3 with my kids. It's not what I did, it's what they got to see.
Right.
And so my daughters, of course, Tyler, used to tuck up underneath me doing the turkey hunting time. And when he was 5, 6 years old, wasn't old enough to shoot himself. And then being on his first hunt of his very first whitetail, I was there. My daughter the same way. My 14-year-old son now the same way. For me, there's no better thrill than to share it with a family member.
Yeah.
And me on a personal basis, I've seen a little bit of everything all my life, and very cherished moments. But those 3 hunts with my kids on their first ever whitetail hunt is probably my most memorable hunts.
Yeah.
Do you have any other aspirational hunts that you haven't checked off the list yet that you want to check off?
Well, I actually do, is try to keep Tyler from hunting this farm. Y'all have already touched on. I'm here to answer as many questions you got, but I asked him to take his 14-year-old brother the other day. He's playing football, doesn't have a whole lot of time off, and he knows exactly what I'm talking about. So I said, look, we got a 10-pointer with 2 drop tines. I was hoping he's got a big infection in his jaw, on his left side. And so this deer, I think he's so old, he's not huge. He's a 130-inch deer with 2 drops, 4 inch on one side and 2 on the other. I don't care who gets him, but his little brother finally has an afternoon off not to go hunt. Not play football. So I said, take him up there to the pea patch. I said, put him in there. There's a very good chance y'all gonna see him. He did exactly that. He took his little brother. I'm happy. I'm thrilled. So my wife calls me and texts me and said, hey, Colton got a deer. I said, awesome. He got the drop tine with a bad jaw. So I go to my phone. I said, I know they sent it to me. And so I go, that's not him. And that's one's a lot smaller. And so I called him. I said, Tyler, how much time? Why would you have your little brother? Nothing wrong killing a cull buck. We need him shot.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get a chance to hunt much because of football. He said, oh, he wanted to shoot. I said, no, his brother, you wanted him to shoot. And I understand, the cull buck thing, but I sent you in there for this deer.
But he
and
was
your
probably
and your
coming.
little brother. So he tried to blame it on his little brother. No, he wanted to shoot. I said, no, you wanted him to shoot.
Kind of like I tried to blame the call on Johnny Carter earlier.
Yes,
Okay,
and so
similar situation.
I sit there and I said, let's just do this. You know, he's already got a nice deer off the farm here a couple of weeks ago
Mhm.
with his bow. So as y'all know, he's hunting another one. You know, drops.
Mhm.
Got 2 8-inch drops probably on both sides. I said, look, just give that one to your little brother since you made him shoot a cull buck, and now it's your time.
That sounds like a fair trade.
That's what I thought, a cull buck. But he hadn't bought on it yet. I'm still working on it.
No, we were sitting there eating hibachi last night, and we're sitting there all there talking. All of a sudden, Todd's like, "Yes, there he is!" And it's like, well, we know what's going on here. And he's gotten a picture on his phone of the deer he's after. So
The name's Drops.
drops.
Drops. The way it's hard. I don't know. I've had a lot of good hunts.
Yeah, repeat the question so people can
Yeah.
hear it.
So Tyler's in here, and he asked, besides the 3 hunts with your kids, what is the most? If you had to choose one, what would you say is the most memorable hunt?
You and
that
I
you can
chatted
think
about
of?
this at dinner, I guess, whenever that was, a few months ago, and I think you did say the Milk River area was.
The Milk River. There was so many special hunts at Milk River. I got a 187 out there years ago. But the Milk River is just different terrain, different way to hunt. You know, you can sit off the fields in the morning, you can glass them going off alfalfa into bedding areas at the river. It's just the sheer excitement for me, just being there, seeing all these magnificent deer. I mean, Milk River, when we were hunting at, 160, 170s, I got a 187. Just to sit there, it's just a magical, spot and scope, watch them go off, getting your strategy, going back in, and all of these river bottoms, we'd have several stands up for the wind. And just trying to match your wits of that deer. You know he's there, know he's going to come back in the field at some point in time. It's just fun hunts. One of my bow hunts in Kansas was probably one of my most memorable hunts. And then one that really hurts me to this day, there's 2 of them. One is a deer called Stickers from Wyoming. That was a miss.
And how big was he?
2 something.
Oh no. Oh man.
But he had Stickers stuff everywhere. Long main beams. We got pictures. I mean, so I don't even look at it.
Was it filmed?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Now I'm gonna do this one real quick. One of our camera guys who's no longer with us, who passed away, one of the nicest guys in the world. We were hunting him, and we kept moving on him, bow hunting, and we couldn't catch him. We didn't want to move in too quick, but he was coming off alfalfa fields, coming back up in the hills to bed. So about 3 days, he'd always pull up before, on us, and so I kept moving stands up. So we got off the stand. I said, listen, we're just going to have to go for broke. We're just going to move up closer. And so we found some trails that came up that went up in these canyons for him to bed. Did everything. If it's ever a textbook hunt, this is it. You don't know he's going up that draw, but you know he's in front of you. They had to keep inching up. Got to stand up, and he was traveling with an 8-pointer. And so I'd seen the 8-pointer several times, and he was always with him. And so we got the stands up over the shoulder. Everything was just good. I had him where we felt like he was going to go. So we're on the stand. I'm sitting there. I said, there's the 8-pointer. I watch him coming to me. He's feeding off, coming up this draw. And so sure enough, I look down there, and here comes Stickers. And he's got stuff going out, long main beam. So as he's coming up, and I've had this happen to me twice. And so I went to draw. Deer is like 20 yards. This is like a dream come true. This is like, you couldn't ask it. I try to think I'm a pretty cool hunter. I don't get over nuts, and I don't get rattled, and I don't do whatever. In this case, I was good. I mean, I got this deer done. So when I draw back, he was so close up underneath me in the elevation, the pin was over his back, and I had to come down on him. So when I came down on him, our camera guy, Mike, I hit the camera with my elbow. He had moved the camera over my shoulder.
Oh man!
And so when I'm this close, ready to shoot. I'd already moved I had a Scott release, and I had it up on the trigger. So when I'm coming down his body, I go up and I hit the camera, my elbow. And when he hits my elbow, that thing went off. And I was trying to grab the arrow back. I knew I knew it when it went off. I said, "Oh no!" I had left and right perfect. All I had to do was just come down
on him.
about a foot, 18 inches, and that thing went left and right perfect, just right over his back. And out of my mouth, we were filming. I said, "You hit my arm." I mean, I just don't get these many chances.
I bet he felt horrible.
No, and so I took we edited. You hit my arm out. I took full responsibility, and I will. And it was a nice guy, but I hit the camera, and so it just the reaction of just me hitting it, and that thing would snap. So anyway, and then another one.
So deer took off. Never
Saw him again.
Never saw him again.
I went. Well, stickers. I went back to hunting. Well, the place where we were hunting, they spotted him again, and they had him pinpointed down in and around the same area. And a big front came in, snow. But anyway, I went back, and the snow came in, and it was unbelievable. I'm talking about like 2 or 3 foot deal, 4 foot deal, and it snowed so much they moved all the deer that came off out of the hills and went low. And when I got there, I couldn't hunt him because of so much snow, and nobody ever saw him again. So we figured he got something with the snow just gone. But anyway, that was stickers.
Is that the biggest deer you've ever had a
no,
chance at?
I got another 200.
Oh gosh.
It was Kansas.
Yeah.
Tyler, you know about that one? What was his name? Kansas. Barbed wire.
The barbed wire buck?
Y'all heard about barbed wire?
No.
All right, we getting away more.
Yeah, this is picking at some scabs.
No. This is a good one too.
Okay.
The barbed wire buck. These deer, y'all, we'll go back in the archives and we'll show you all of them.
Yeah, I want to see these videos now.
And so we got it all on video. So the barbed wire buck, I try to pride myself. I halfway know what I'm doing. So the barbed wire buck, we found him in Kansas and in this alfalfa field, and he'd go off in these coulees, call them coulees. Mm-hmm. Back here we call them draws, but he would go off. We followed him for 2 or 3 days. We'd sit off of him, glass him, spotting scopes. And so rut's coming in, and he's with a doe. We can't, we just cannot get up on him. No trees that you can hunt from. This was all spot and stalk. We get down and draws ourselves and get behind buck brush on part of Kansas where we were hunting. And so about the 4th or 5th day, we're glassing out in this alfalfa field. He has left his doe. He's walking across this field, and we glass him. And so we make a big loop around it. I mean, just hauling butt. And so we get there. Jason Huntsman is running camera for us. And he's about 400 yards out. And I'm huffing and I'm puffing, and we get set up. And I said, let's just set up right here. We can't get up next to the field. There's a barbed wire fence. 3 strands.
I think I know where this is going.
3 strands. So I get up there, and I said, Jason, you ready? I said, yeah. I grunted one time, picked up rattling horn, rattle. That joker comes to a complete stop. And he looks down there, here he comes galloping.
Oh, man.
And I said, oh, this is going to happen. Yeah, so, here he comes, and he gets to a point, and he's angling a little bit to get downwind, 30 yards. Well, I'm about 8 yards off the barbed wire fence. And that barbed wire fence, and this is on, you can hear the audio, I said, I got to shoot through that barbed wire fence. I knew, you know, and being 8 yards from it, you know how your alignment is on your sight. You don't know where it comes together. And so I'm sitting there and I said, I got to shoot through that fence. And so I said it live on camera. So he gets out there. I go to full draw and he kind of flinches a little bit. Full draw. I put that pin up 30 yards. I put that pin money spot. Release. Goes out there, hits the barbed wire fence, shoots the arrow down the ground, and it skids. You can see it on camera. It skids out there on the ground underneath his feet.
Oh my gosh!
And that's all in the same year. This is all the same year.
Oh really?
How big was that deer?
200 plus. So, and I tell you how I know he's 200 plus. I'll tell you this in a minute. But anyway, he goes off, and I'm sitting there, and I already had the buck from Wyoming stickers. And now this deer, 200-inch deer in the same year. And I'm going, this just didn't happen. I hit that barbed wire fence. So he runs off and I go out there and I get my arrow and you can see the blade, you know, the fixed blade. You can see where it hit the barbed wire. Actually, the barbed wire fence, we went right to it. And you can see where it nicked it. So that opportunity, that 200 was, you know, had gone. And I found him again about 2 hours later, spotting and stalking. And never could get up on him. I sat on him for 4 hours. He picked up a doe when he left me, and I sat with him for 4 hours on a hillside, and he had two ways to leave this draw, that way or toward me, and had the wind in my favor. And he gets up, and I watch him. He's about 70 yards away, and the doe goes off from us, doesn't have a clue in the world I'm there, and he follows her. And that's the last time I ever saw him. Now, how I know the deer was a 200, huh? Yeah, deer's in Bass Pro Shops right now.
Is he really?
In the main lobby.
Which Bass Pro Shops?
Springfield, Missouri. Yeah,
the main Bass Pro Shops.
Yes, in the main Bass Pro Shop. A guy shot the deer 2 years later. They got the shed from the year I killed him. And so the guy that I was hunting with, and I think he was 214 or 15.
Oh, my word.
Yeah. And so the shed, so the deer got shot 2 years later, and the guy was nice enough to call me, and I congratulated him. I said, "Look, you know, deer's probably an 8-year-old then." And I said, "Man, I'm glad." I think the year they shot him, he'd come down to 187, I think. And the shed, the original shed, went 213, 214, and he's in
that was the year that you shot at him.
Yeah, shot at him. Yeah.
Dang.
And he's in Bass. The guy who got him, Bass Pro Shops bought him, and I wish I had him. You know, I wish I'd have.
I had a very similar story in Kansas last year. We were spotting stalking, had a buck bedded down. We got up to him. We were 15 yards from him, and he had not a clue in the world. We were there for 3 hours waiting on him to stand up, and there was a barbed wire fence. We're kneeled on the ground. There's a barbed wire fence, and I'm sitting there trying to be like, okay, I need to aim in my head. Where do I need to aim to shoot through the barbed wire?
Absolutely.
And I was worried about the entire time. And then when that deer stood up, he was looking the total opposite direction. And I stood up and took 2 steps towards him where I could get over the barbed wire and was able to clear it. But if he would have stood up and been facing towards us at all, I would have had to have tried to squeeze it through the barbed wire. And the whole nightmare situation was already playing in my head. Like, I'm going to hit that barbed wire.
No, the same thought. When I was on my knees, you know, when I rattled and we just dropped the knees, I didn't have a whole lot of cover. And I was trying to get as small as I could. I could never get upright. And I had just a little bit of brush about chest high. So I got just got on my knees beside it. But the whole time he's coming in from that 400 yards off, I said, I got to shoot through this barbed wire fence. I mean, you know, and who would think an arrow? Yeah. Of course, people may not be seeing this. How are you going to hit that? That gap's right here.
If you tried to again, you would not be able to hit it.
Yeah, no, you couldn't do it. If you aim for it, you could not hit it. And that was my fault. I said, there's no way. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to convince myself, but no, I found a way.
I think what's cool, even though it probably hurts to tell those a little bit, is that some of the two of the coolest. I mean, those are probably some of the coolest whitetail stories I've heard in person. Are deer that you didn't even take, right? Are the ones that got away.
Well, people keep reminding me of it when it was fresh on everybody's mind, and we aired it on TNN. You know, back in the day, people this day will come up to me.
Y'all made T-shirts of the barbed wire buck?
Yeah.
I think I might have seen that clip.
Yeah.
There's something in my head that's kind of like,
Oh, you did?
is
Just
that
keep
is
the
that
memory
actually?
alive.
And that's
No,
what the deer looked like. Oh my word!
Let me see.
That's
Barbed wire buck t-shirts.
yeah.
I gotta get me one of those.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to snag one of those too.
All right.
And so y'all have those on YouTube? Those
Yeah, I
those
got 'em.
hunts?
Hey, I'll just put 'em-
Dang.
Wow.
You know, when the year that we they found the sheds, the year I shot at him, I want to say it was he went 213 something,
Golly.
and he's sitting in the lobby of Bass Pro right now.
So he was about 213 that year, and then the Wyoming deer. If you had to guess, how big do you think he was?
I don't even want to guess because he had more junk going on.
So he was probably more.
He could have been a gross more. Yeah. You know,
Well-
his main beams. When we need to pull it up. When his main beams, I'm just guessing. Could have been 29, 30 inches long.
Golly.
They just kept coming.
And that's Wyoming.
Wyoming, and let me tell you, I don't know for sure. And again, we'll guess at the score. We'll pull all the video stuff back out. I would have been surprised. It'd been a state record.
Yeah, I don't.
Phew.
I don't really hear of that many 200-inch deer coming out of Wyoming.
No, this thing was giant, but it was all in the same year. I couldn't spread them out. It still hurts to this day.
Yeah.
Why'd y'all bring these memorable?
Tyler did that.
stories
No, he
up?
did that.
There he goes again, blaming other people.
That wasn't me.
Yeah, here I got in between crosshairs here. I had to tell all my bad stories. No, but they're all memorable hunts.
Oh, yeah.
And again, you guys are younger, but back in the day, it was like the hunting industry, the whitetail guys went nuts over it because we showed it and
Mhm.
all in the same year, and kind of made at the time those legends out of both of them. One was stickers, and the other one was barbed wire.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us and kind of just tell stories and kind of hear the story of it all, and for our perspective of this, us kind of not even really intending to be in this industry. It just kind of happened. Like, it was always a dream of ours watching y'all on TV and stuff like that. So just to even be here is such a really cool, we don't take it lightly that we're here.
Well, let me tell you, I know from Tyler's perspective and knowing about you guys, we're excited for y'all. I mean, the neat thing about it, y'all got a great story to tell. The industry, the outdoorsmen and hunters, and so I mentioned this a little while ago where we're fans of you guys. I think our industry needs it. I think our industry needs to see something different. I think you need to see people with that trying to do the right thing. And so any way that any of us can promote the outdoors is a positive, and I think y'all do it in a very good way. So we're glad to be. Of course, I have to hear from y'all from Tyler. He won't let me around y'all. Now you probably know why for the last hour, But no, you guys too are the complimentary thing. We've Bill Jordan's done his thing. Realtree's done his thing. We just try to do a positive image to the industry, and you guys are certainly right there doing the same thing. And so I look forward to seeing more pictures from you guys.
Well, if there is a plan to be formulated to retaliate against Johnny Carter, I want in.
Yeah.
So let me know.
You
thought
can't
it
be
was
on both sides of this now.
Got to play both sides.
I thought it was you yesterday. They said, let me tell you now, my phone was blowing up with calls. That if there was ever one inopportune time, be on the side of the road, I was telling them everybody I knew at the school would stop and see if they could help me. And I'm sitting over there in my truck, no gas. It's kind of embarrassing. You okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. And then my phone would go off on something on business, and next car come by. Hey, you need any help? No, I'm good. Just ran out of gas. It's kind of embarrassing to tell people you ran out of gas at your kid's school. So anyway, that was that brief moment that you guys called. So now, but I can't blame Johnny. So
Johnny's the scapegoat.
yeah, he's good. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Thank you again for
It's been
sitting down
fun.
with us. We'll let you get back with the rest of your day. But I really enjoyed this. This was fun.
Well, hopefully we'll do it again.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
You know, come down and we'll maybe Tyler will not have you on cold bucks when you come back like he does his little brother.
Hey, I'm call buck. I'm in.
Yeah.
So
Any buck right now.
oh yeah. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank y'all for listening.